Yeah, so I'm editing the issue as well to keep track here.
Okay, we're live. Hello, everyone. I'm not sure if you announced the meeting somewhere or just you start.
We usually just go live. So, hello, internet.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, so today's October 24. This is the website Redesign, and there are three of us here, I guess, and we have agenda items. I'm not sure we're really the ones who will be handling all of those, right? Some agenda items are there that probably people will join us for. All right, I'll pass the torch.
Okay.
Okay.
I think it makes sense to just go over the list of the agenda and see what you can discuss and what not.
Yep.
Yeah, we can just like skip the agenda and have it for next meeting if you wish. If none of it none of it was relevant to.
Yeah, a lot of what's been our agenda has been just getting. It's been the same stuff for the past couple of months, basically. So we are making progress. We can talk a little bit about what we did on Saturday, which was a little hackathon we had together. But I mean, since we have a couple people here who specifically want to talk about some stuff, I'd say we should go ahead and jump into that too in a sec here. Just pull up our agenda again for real. I don't have much time today, so I'm happy to talk about what we can.
Okay.
But let's Ahmad, or how cool, there we go, sharing that.
Yeah.
Salah, you had a couple of things you added to the agenda, some stuff you wanted to talk about. Do you want to introduce those real quick?
Yeah, so I wanted to first just update on the PR, my first PR, by the way, that happened in the last hackathon, and take it an opportunity to plug in the fact that these hackathons actually can change things. So I've been with Node for more than a year. And this is the first effective PR that is not like docs, so or missing notes. So yeah, like things can change. The PR I'm talking about, it brings enhanced dark mode. It's one opinion on how you should write code. It's not the conventional opinion, but it was an improvement. It's towards delivering a full dark mode that responds to the operating system. It works on Mac, it works on the iPhone, and I was happy to see that it works on Windows 10 now that we actually have a branch. Um, so this update, it's a personal victory, but more importantly, there are a few things that we have to work on as a team. I'm not sure what priorities we can place, but we do have to design a better UX around it. There's a toggle button. I'll quickly just show that. A toggle button here, and it has the power that when you press and hold, it goes to auto. And then if you switch the operating system, the website responds at the same time. There are no tests written for this. It's written in JavaScript and it is in the TypeScript project, but the world, moves forward and you can do that today.
Awesome.
So this is the issue that's done. The other thing is an issue I'm starting to work on and did a big dive yesterday, which doesn't really have much to show. More of understanding the pipeline. So we were talking about this idea where we have previously all these ways of third we don't control, but we want you to be able to use them. So we have all these little sections, and this is written in Markdown. And somehow we want to find a way to populate them in let's say this is a widget that takes an article and somehow displays tabs for each section. So how we go from it being a markdown document to it populating the widget is really what I'm trying to explore here for resolving this issue. Yeah, and there are a lot of questions that I have that are probably not just best addressed as we give a quick update. So yeah, it kind of has to do with the Gatsby pipeline and how we can configure that some markdown files are for learn, some markdown files go elsewhere. And the fact that this is the first time I ever write an actual GraphQL query for work, for things I'm doing, not for learning GraphQL. So yeah, so anyways, this is from my end. We can come back to this issue after, we give everybody time. Sounds good?
Sure.
Yeah.
Will you comment on, so you linked this is issue number 333. Will you comment at some point, maybe after this, on this issue, just to mention that it's something you want to think about or work on, et cetera?
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at that file now. If you go to the one that Adam linked to above, and it is I guess a markdown file, or at least this is a page. I imagine it's sourced from a markdown file. I'd have to look at that actual file. Because yeah, it's a good point. So what I'm hearing from you is that we've got a question about how would we pull in these code snippets which show people how to install Node on various platforms? How would we source them from the markdown, et cetera? I don't have a good answer to that right now, but it's definitely something we should look at. I'm not sure how much those will change, honestly. So that could be something we could hard code in or separate out into markdown files somewhere or something like that. But that's a good catch. It's a good point.
Yeah. So I do have explicit questions that we can take on, but I would rather we do that as a tail end discussion if that's possible. Okay. Thank you.
Cool. So just so we can do this properly, I guess real quick, I'll read through our actual agenda. So our agenda.
Do you want to share your screen while you're doing it? Would that be possible? This way, I don't get like a lag in catching up with where you want people to look.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, I'm going to stop sharing now.
How do I even share my screen on here?
Oh, there's like a green button in the middle of the toolbar.
Share?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, everything is sharing now, right? So.
Let's see, desktop 1, desktop 2. Oh, here we go, cool. Let me just close that. Whoa, crazy. Whatever, you'll see my code a little bit. So you guys can see my screen? Oops, hold on. Oh, God. Catalina needs permissions.
Yeah.
Zoom.
Yeah. You need permission from Catalina to exist, right? Am I allowed to? No, you're not.
Okay. No, okay, so let's not worry about it. Let's just keep moving. It wants me to, I need to quit Zoom in order to do this. So I'm just there's not much we need to talk about the agenda stuff. And for anybody that's watching, we've discussed all of these things before in prior meetings, and we don't have much progress on them. Unless something changed in the, what am I saying? The hackathon that we did last week and on Saturday, which I dipped out of a little bit early, so I'm not sure if I got the full context of it.
Yeah, I was hardly there.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So 322 is an issue that we have in our agenda here. It's just talking about the fact that we did a hackathon last Saturday. We might want to plan another one of those coming up either this weekend, or that might be too early, maybe the weekend afterwards. For anybody not familiar, we've been working on the weekends, or however many of us want to come together for a few hours and talk and code together. We get a lot of stuff done then. We have the releases page download grid, which is issue number 261. It's something that I've been working on. I've been working on the downloads page. I'm currently still just kind of styling it. We don't have, it's not done yet. Basically, we're still working on it. We're trying to figure out the best way to display all of the downloads and things like that. And I think Oscar, the designer, is going to be helping us figure out what that looks like. but no real updates on that essentially. And the rest of the stuff is Spike in our perfect world, what format would the API be documented in? We're still figuring that out. Integrating the JSON, the API JSON is an async data source. I think we might have actually completed that, or we've gotten really close to it. Adam's been working on that. A lot of work has happened on that, where we're pulling on page load. We're pulling the documentation down from a API endpoint, which presents the docs as JSON for every single version. We're currently implementing that. I think Adam should probably update this issue at some point soon. We're still figuring out what the best way to consume that stuff is. And select and integrate an I18N library. We haven't even started thinking about that too much. That issue is just kind of chilling. That's issue 254. So Ahmad, you said you had something that you wanted to discuss?
Yeah. It's basically issue 257. I put it in the chat and on the meeting issue as well.
Okay.
So it's basically about integrating code search, Algolia code search. So just a little background, I did talk about this. So Adam did mention it in one of the ComCom meetings when I was in one of those meetings. And he did mention that they're trying to find Algolia as a way to search the documentation and the website. So I do work with a company called Elastic, if you're familiar with Elasticsearch. So I did mention that we can have Elasticsearch instead of Algolia. That would be something I'm interested in contributing to, because it will help me like learn more about this part of product in Elastic and contribute to Node at the same time. So I was just wondering if there's any progress with this. If I'm planning to start, how can we do that? And I also did chat with a few people from Elastic to see if we can address like some of the outstanding questions that Adam posted in the issue, mainly like how does the API integration cost? Can we get it sponsored or donated? Stuff like that. So yeah, I just want to see like what's the status of this and how can we kick like some discussion around it, and maybe we can have a chat around like the cost or something like that. I'm not the person who's like making these decisions, like if we can have this donated or sponsored by Elastic, but I definitely can help connect people together to get this like moving forwards.
Awesome. Yeah, we haven't made any progress. We haven't touched this. Basically, it's just been a nice to have. So if you wanted to come in and start trying to help and give advice about using Elastic for it, so far as I understand, it wouldn't be. Yeah, it wouldn't be erasing any previous work. It would be helpful for us to have somebody who wants to help think about this. So we'd probably appreciate that.
I do have one question, if you don't mind. So at the moment, there's this battle between how do you put content that has code on your website, and CMSs have evolved a lot, but this idea that we are going with here, and I happen to actually really be a fan of, that your site should be markdown files, and the site as an app that makes the experience out of this. So when we're talking about code search, are we talking about the concept that we somehow find a way to, in the pipeline to travel all the way to fenced code blocks and keep track of those through static data files on the actual static site? Or are we talking that they are going to be farmed out? What are we imagining just from your experience, basically?
Yeah. So yeah, you can go ahead, John. I can share what I initially thought after that.
I was going to ask who he was asking. That's all. But so go for it.
Generally, whoever has an imagination for that in their mind to share, that would be great. It would help us just relate the brainstorm direction that we want to take this, right? So, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, from what I understood from Adam and the issue is we have two parts of the website. The website itself, about the content, training resources, and information about Node, the Linux Foundation, and all of that stuff. And we also have the other part of the website, which is the documentation for Node itself. So we have each version for Node, and we have all the different documentation, including code for each API and all that. So what's basically needed here is to provide a way for users or anyone to search, have an experience similar to Google search inside the website, so they can search for an API, they can search for keywords, they can search for code snippets and find it. Also for the website itself, there's like this search experience that you can add, which crawls the whole website, and people can search inside the website for it's like the maps, like the map for the website, but it's searchable. Similar to how Google crawls the website and finds all the information to search it. Yeah, so Algolia, they have a service called Algolia Code Search, which I did use Algolia in the past as well. So currently, Elastic did provide like two products. One is for searching specifically for this use case, which is like searching the documentation or website. And actually, like if you go to elastic.co, which is our website, you can go to documentation and see like how such an application product can provide like a really tailored search experience. And its setup is really relatively simple. So yeah, I was just trying to like the reason I joined here is I'm trying to find the status of this before I write anything, like any draft about like how can we move forwards, and yeah, how a solution with Elastic would look like basically.
Can we add to the issue to 257 a couple of links that show how, you know, I remember at some point certain code-related services offered, you know, either you would go to a third-party site where they show you how it can give you documentation extension onto your repository. So you're able to see a sample repository or your own directly from GitHub, but with their enriched, you know, experience around it. So I know it's not exactly what we want for our website, but any kind of live links that kind of relate the idea better can certainly, in my opinion, inspire you know, people to come in with passion to take on you know, implementation and whatever it takes, right?
So I just dropped a link into the minutes of a sample search on the Elastic website, doing what Ahmed just suggested and whatnot. But so what I'm hearing from also the issue that we have already, 257, which links to 130, which is where this idea was initially brought up, is Ahmed specifically, or Ahmed's right. It's specifically to be like, or rather just the Node.js website today does not have search. And it should, in order to be able to search through the documentation and the API and potentially also the full text of the website, which is fine. So I'm all for that, obviously, and we currently don't have anybody working on that kind of stuff. So if you want to start thinking about that, Ahmed, that would be, or no, so far as I understand, nobody else has taken that up yet. So you're more than welcome to think through it.
Yeah. So you meet every 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll try to have a draft about like what I initially like have in mind, just in like a small few paragraphs, like 1 or 2 paragraphs, with some demos or something, like something relatable, like Salah said.
Yeah, but I'll just put it out there. That area of markup and making markup interactive and the experience, that's something I'm very passionate about. I'm actually here and I have time. If you want us to coordinate, please, we can do this anytime. Sounds good.
Cool. Just a question. Do you use Slack or something?
Oh yeah. We use the Node Slack. Like some of us here use the Node Slack. I'm not sure if everybody does. Yeah. So it's Salah, I guess, in the Node.js Slack. Like I managed to be the first one, so why not?
Yeah.
It's not like there are too many of us walking, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think you during the week.
Perfect.
Okay.
Cool. All right, thank you.
Yep, and I'm John Church on Slack, same as my GitHub handle.
Cool. Do you have a channel or something?
I'm not sure if we have a channel. We probably do, but I don't think I'm in it.
I don't think, I don't think there is one, because channels are visible. Even private ones are visible. You just see a lock on them, right?
Yeah.
We do have a website redesign channel, but it looks like nobody's in it.
Yeah, well, if you see it, then you can invite people to it. It's a private channel that you can invite people to it, maybe. Like, we're talking about a channel within Node Slackers that is called #website redesign or something like that. So
yeah, I just found it in search. I joined it, and I'm not sure how many people are in here. There's literally, it says there's one person that joined on the 6th, but there's no message history. So
yeah. All right. Well, yeah. So there you go. You've done so much for us. Already. Thanks. That's it turns out we could have been talking on Slack. All right.
But this, cool. Like the Node Slackers is not officially like supported by the foundation or anything. It's just like we need a medium of communication that is better than IRC, basically.
It's adopted the foundation. Let's put it this way. Like, there could have been other options that were not considered to be, okay, this is the one, if anybody wants to Slack, just go there. So how that relationship will grow. It's still not like an official mode of collaboration for obvious reasons that Slack is just one of many chat options, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like be careful with the conversations, because even private channels can be like the text can be requested, and it's not something like official by the foundation.
Okay.
So just don't share anything like.
API
for example,
keys.
the ComCom, we don't use it just because like we might be like sharing stuff that are not to be released yet. So that's
okay.
Yeah. So don't share our agenda, okay? Let's keep it a secret.
Good point.
Yeah. No, it's good to disclaimer things.
Yeah. So I think that we're just about done here. I'm going to check real quick, just see what did anything get merged in. I'm trying to see if anything got merged in on from our hackathon last weekend, but it doesn't look like anything got merged in yet. We got a couple of PRs. I see you've got your enhanced dark mode prototype from Salah, spacing and polishing from Oscar, which I think he was going to mention something about that today, but he wasn't able to get in. And we've got a PR to bump a linting preset, it looks like. So
yeah, well, so I actually, that's a second topic I forgot to mention. It's good that you said that, but so I have an extra item that I will add to the agenda, but let it go in queue though. Don't let me interrupt.
I'm ready to wrap up. I've got to go soon. So if you have something else you want to add, that's fine.
Yeah, so I'm gonna try to get my screen shared. And while we're at it as well, I'm going to talk quickly about the 333 question that just what I was hammering at. But yeah, so I will try to wrap this up in less than 5 minutes on both issues.
I was going to say, Ahmad. I was like, Ahmad, you're free to go if you want, but I realized, oh yeah, you're hosting for us, so we'll let you go in a minute. We promise.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, you're kind of stuck. Sorry about that.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
So I did open this issue because while I was trying to do my first PR, I discovered that there's this thing called CI that I've heard so much about over the years, but I've never really argued with one. So no, like I've had PRs, I've had CR related problems, but there was a weird side effect that I found when I had to do what the CI would be doing to figure out why the CIs were complaining. I basically discovered that we don't have an ESLint ignore uh, set for statically generated content. So when you're running the build scripts or any scripts that generate stuff that is get ignored, you're adding stuff that will ESLint will probably not find as interesting, but at least it's going to find a lot more work than the code that you're actually committing. So it's natural to not consider uncommitted work a lint related aspect of the scripts. So I was thinking about this. The most ergonomic approach would be to symbolically link get ignore to ESLint ignore, and this way, if you run the build script and then all of a sudden ESLint needs to kick in when you're still developing, you don't end up not knowing exactly why ESLint is now taking half an hour, or why you have 400 new errors and you didn't really write any code, right? So this is really why I opened this issue. I tried the symlink approach. It just works. Instead of having to maintain yet another moving part, we just add a comment on top of that file and symlink it. Maybe there's a way we can configure ESLint to pick up get ignore. That would be even more ergonomic. Yeah, so this issue is there. I'm hoping we can resolve this, but until then, if you do build, just make sure that it will get in the way of ESLint, and it will probably make it hard for you to commit. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I wrote our ESLint config and stuff, or like I expanded off of owners. He was working on it, and then I ended up getting the PR in there that got committed. But yeah, we should probably have an ESLint ignore. I just am ignoring the test file currently in our package.json script. So I think the static file is, I think, something that Gatsby builds. I'm looking at the docs for it right now. So I'm not exactly sure what all goes into the public folder. I think I might have misspoke. I meant public. But we can probably ignore it. I think it's for assets and stuff like that. We can probably ignore it with ESLint. So that sounds like the most straightforward thing to me, because the issue you're having is specifically that ESLint is linting that stuff and yelling at you for issues it finds in there, even though that stuff is like generated code.
Yeah. So can I elaborate just very, very quickly where the thought came from? So in the git ignore, public is basically something when you check out the code, it's not there, along with cache, right? Cache happens so that when you're running the Gatsby dev or whatever, it doesn't do work that doesn't need to be done because it was done before. So cache is good. Public is good, and that allows you to test, not to test, but to serve static content locally from the public folder. But when you're committing, you should get rid of those two. They're being ignored, so those two never make it into the commit. So what I did is I just symlinked, and then now when I build, if ESLint was meant to run on public, I hesitate personally to find a use case for that. But if that's the intended approach, then this is good. If not, then ESLint running, honoring git ignore is what we want to accomplish.
Okay. Yeah, so the one thing, we're currently ignoring test. I don't know if we need to be or not. I literally just put it in there because I didn't want to fix everything in the test stuff.
Yeah.
But if we use the .git ignore specifically for our ESLint ignore, then there'd be weird things like that. Like if we were for whatever reason going to keep ignoring test, then it would also git ignore it, and that's not what I want.
Oh no.
But
yeah. So are you ignoring test in the config though, or are you ignoring it in the ESLint ignore? Because if
I'm ignoring it in the linting script in package.json.
That's a separate thing. That's actually ergonomic because you can have an ESLint ignore and ignore further by configuring ESLint as you know, by any other means, as long as ESLint honors all those. So
yeah. I think we should probably just add an ESLint ignore and just use that. But like there's actually a PR that somebody there's a PR that somebody's submitted which fixes something in the footer, and they actually fixed that already. They fixed that for me. They changed the ESLint script and added an ESLint ignore, which is not related to their pull request, but it's in there. So I was like, this seems familiar. I've seen someone else ignore public, but if you want to open up a PR for whatever version of it you want to suggest, then we can figure it out from there. So but that's a good catch. That's a good catch. That was just sloppiness on my part. So I appreciate you you catching that.
You know, it's a collective project, right? So you do a lot, and then you don't do some, and then other people do a lot, and you know, eventually we get it there. The second point, if I can switch to that quickly, and that would be it. So I was thinking, what we have right now, again, this is just me trying to figure out Gatsby, you know, in 3-4 hours in the afternoon. So I understand that there's a lot I need to catch up on here, but there is a source file system that we're using that takes stuff from documentation, and me trying not to somehow accidentally create new learn documents. I said, okay, I'm going to find the path that is least contentious. So I said, okay, I'm going to create a content folder in src, and I'm going to create another source and basically call that content. So that would probably be called documentation that will have learn and other things. And then, you know, content is markdown material that will become static content that populates widgets, you know, not like pages of articles, but rather widgets that expect a particular structure of a document and will represent it in some abstracted way like tabs. So, and I got the source, and you know, I did the boilerplate that everybody's doing, and this source is taken from the old code base. And I'm just struggling to somehow be able to in my template, that probably should be called content template, not guide, that this query and the one in learn, they don't overlap. Like I don't want to get.
Hey, it's Yogesh.
Yeah, I guess somebody joined.
Yep.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create those two different pipelines so that those two queries don't cross-populate, and then we end up with a new weird section in learn just because somebody forgot to, you know, make sure that there is additional work other than putting it in the right folder. Anyway, so I desperately need help though, because I'm not good at like catching up with new things. I got to that age, I guess. Yeah, it used to be that, you know, new things were cool. Now new things are like, no, not again. Anyways, that's my part. Thanks.
What are you trying to, what files or what content specifically are you trying to source from this query?
Well, I was doing what they did, right? Like when and roam kind of thing. So I figured I needed content in a component that is sourced from Gatsby processed Markdown. So I said, okay, I'm going to create a parallel pipeline, and a parallel component, and then my journey begins. So I'm just trying to get it so that I can say this component will only get this content, and it will not inadvertently affect learn in any way. And when I have that, I'm going to start playing around. That's the fun I was trying to get to. And then instead of that taking a couple of hours, it took, all night. And then.
So have you checked out the docs for Gatsby source file system? It's the Gatsby plugin that we're using for that. I'll send you a link into the Q&A.
Oh yeah, no, I got there. The problem I'm getting though is that I'm specifying, on the source, we can specify the name. So I said, okay, if this source is content and this source is learn, then I should be able in the query to eliminate anything that doesn't come from the source learn. It'll be a very, very small change to the learn.tsx that doesn't get in anybody's way, that will ensure that learn only continues to get the stuff that was sourced here in the original configuration. However, what I'm hitting is that this name ends up being inside the parent on file. I have no clue how on file, relates to OO concepts. Like there are properties in parent, and then there's like file in parent, but I can't really say file is a field in parent. This is all like, I'm trying to close that out. So.
Okay. Yeah, go. I'd suggest to read the docs, more of the Gatsby source stuff. So if you're just trying to get just the content in the content folder, is that what you're trying to do?
I'm trying to make sure that I can filter in the fields here that the source name, which is not actually on the edge, but rather on the file that is the parent of the edge. I think that's what it means. I cannot filter here, which is a markdown, markdown remark edge or a node, I mean. I cannot filter the file that is the parent of it as part of my query. And this is where I'm struggling really. I don't know how to do it, I cannot claim that I've used GraphQL beyond, playing with it. So yeah.
I'm not sure I understand your problem particularly well right now, but maybe we can probably give you a hand with that or something if you yeah. But also I see Yogesh joined. That was Yogesh's PR I was talking about, which fixes the ESLint configuration and whatnot. I just wanted to say thank you. I saw that when reviewing that PR before, and I was like, yep, they know what they're doing. That was a good catch. So I appreciate that. It should definitely, and I believe that they're right. They said in chat that the public folder is for like artifacts of the built site that Gatsby builds. So that's definitely something that we can ESLint ignore. So thank you, Yogesh. I appreciate that.
Can we upgrade his status in the meeting? I think he's
yeah.
I think since he's shown up here, he's a presenter now. But
okay, yeah. All right. Yeah. Sorry, I thought he was not able to join audio wise. All right. Well,
he's muted right now. But if he wants to unmute, he can say hi. He's welcome, but he doesn't have to, so that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
I think the way is just to open an issue, because probably if you're facing this issue, many people will face the same issue. So for like the highest visibility, just open an issue, and people can help out.
All right.
I don't have personal experience with Gatsby, so sorry.
Yeah.
Do you guys know who is responsible for getting us that far? Like, who should I be like annoying?
It's just a GraphQL issue, and if I think if you can explain what you're trying to do, we can figure out how to help you filter it with the GraphQL stuff. It just looks like a GraphQL issue, and GraphQL is cool, it's powerful, but it's also you got to wrap your head around the query language and the semantics of it. So I don't think we'll be able to do that in this meeting right now.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Thanks for letting me try to explain it, and hopefully I will in an issue. So thanks.
That's fine. Yeah. Cool. I think that's probably it. I don't have anything else to add. I've got to get out of here too.
Yeah. Just let me check if we have any comments.
Good point. To add, I've got to get out of here too. Whoa.
Yeah. So there's a question. When is NCD be active? Do you have an idea?
Hold on one sec. Let me get to that question. Whoa, this is the wrong. Sorry, I'm some weird issue. Oh, I'm in the archived website redesign. That's why. Will you read the question again? I'm sorry.
So the question is, when is NCD be active? I'm not sure what that means.
I don't know what that is. Where was that question?
What that means? You have to scroll to the end of the live meeting to see it.
Oh, are you on? Is it a question on YouTube? Oh, yeah. NCD. When is NCD be active? I do not know what that means.
Okay. So you can open an issue as well, and hopefully someone will be able to follow up on that. So I think, I think that's all for this meeting. We're just on the top of the hour, so cool.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks for everyone.
Oh, hey, cool. I'm just now noticing our live comments. So hi, people. Thank you for watching.
Yeah, same here. I wasn't aware of that.
But yeah, thank you. Thank you, Ahmad. Thanks for sticking with us. Thanks for opening the Zoom meeting so we could do this. Thanks for live sharing it. And awesome. So anybody has any more questions, please open issues in the website redesign repo, like Ahmad was saying. And see you guys next time. Oh, Node certified developer, maybe in CD. I don't know. I don't have any information about that currently.
Yeah, we'll look for it.
Yeah,
we'll find it. All right, take care, guys. Later.
Cheers, y'all.